Welcome to Griffonomics.
It is good to be back.
Today we are doing a deep dive into a company that I think most people have on their home screen right now.
Oh, absolutely.
You probably use it once a week, maybe even once a day. But the gap between how the average person sees this company and, well, how Wall Street is currently valuing it is wider than it has ever been. We're looking at Uber Technologies.
It's the operating system for physical movement. That's the ambition, at least.
That's the ambition.
But you're right, there is a massive perception lag. People are still stuck on the old story.
Exactly. I think for a lot of us, the mental model of Uber is still stuck in, what, 2015?
Yes, somewhere around there.
You know, it's a taxi app. It's a way to get from point A to point B when you've had a few too many drinks.
Right.
Or maybe if you're feeling lazy on a Friday night, it's a way to get a burger delivered to your couch.
The poster child for the gig economy, right?
Yeah.
The startup that breaks the rules, burns cash like crazy, fights with regulators.
And subsidizes your ride with piles of venture capital money.
That is the old narrative. That is the movie version of the company. It's not the reality anymore.
But the sources we have today, and we have a massive stack of them, financial reports from fiscal year 2025, strategic briefings on something they call the hybrid network, investigative reports, they paint a completely different picture.
It is a completely different company. We're looking at a financial fortress now, a company that has fundamentally, and I mean fundamentally, changed its unit economics.
So the mission for this deep dive is to explore that transformation. We are going to look at how they went from burning cash like it was kindling to becoming this high-margin platform for what they're calling agentic commerce.
And we need to define that term.
We absolutely do, because it keeps coming up in all the strategy docs.
That phrase, agentic commerce, is really the key to the next decade for them. It sounds like a bit of buzzword bingo, I know.
It does.
But it actually describes a fundamental shift in how we interact with the physical world. It's about moving from active searching to passive fulfillment.
From you doing the work to an agent doing it for you.
Precisely.
And we have to answer the big questions. How does a company that was famously unprofitable suddenly generate nearly $10 billion in free cash flow?
An unbelievable number.
And maybe more importantly, how are they planning to survive the Robotaxi wars against absolute giants like Tesla and Waymo?
It is the single biggest question in tech right now. Is Uber dead when the robots arrive? Or do they own the robots?
Yeah.
Because for a long time, the narrative was that autonomy was an existential threat.
Oh, completely. The bear case was simple. Take the driver out of the equation, you take the gig out of the gig economy, and what is Uber left with?
A very nice app, but not much of a business. That was the fear.
We're calling this deep dive the strategic inflection point, because Uber isn't just moving people anymore. They are positioning themselves as the yield manager for the entire autonomous vehicle industry.
That's the hook. That is the entire game right now. And to set the stage, we have to look at the financial backdrop of fiscal year 2025. We are not looking at a scrappy startup anymore. We're looking at a company that has authorized a $20 billion share buyback program.
$20 billion with a B.
With a B. They are pivoting in a way that might just save them from obsolescence, but it requires them to thread a very, very tiny needle.
So let's unpack this. We've got to start with the business model itself because it's evolved so much. Section 1, the business model evolution. It's more than just rides.
It is. But we shouldn't ignore the bread and butter. The mobility segment is still the engine. This is traditional rideshare, your UberX.
The classic.
But even that has changed. It's not just a guy in a Prius anymore.
Right, they've got taxis on the platform now. I remember when Uber was practically at war with the taxi industry.
Oh yeah, there were protests in the streets of Paris and London. It was a battle.
And now you open the app and you might be hailing a yellow cab. It's just seamless.
It's the, if you can't beat them, join them strategy. Or, more accurately, if you can't beat them, acquire their supply.
Ah, that's a better way to put it.
They realized that liquidity, having a car available the instant you press the button, is the only thing that matters. If a taxi is closer, dispatch the taxi.
The consumer doesn't care.
The consumer doesn't care about the medallion on the hood. They care about the ETA on their screen.
But the real margin driver in mobility that people miss, and the reports highlight this heavily, is Uber for Business.
This is the hidden gem of the mobility side. It's a segment that doesn't get the headlines because it's B2B, but the economics are just beautiful.
Okay, tell me about that. Why is it so different from me just calling a car to go to the grocery store?
Think about the incentives. When a company signs up for Uber for Business, their employees use the app for everything. Meetings, airport runs, client dinners.
Right.
These are not price-sensitive rides. If the surge pricing is 2x because it's raining or because it's 5 p.m.,
The corporate traveler books it anyway.
they book it anyway because the company is paying. They aren't sitting there refreshing the app, waiting for the price to drop by $1. They aren't checking Lyft to save 50 cents.
No, their time is more valuable than the 50 cents they might save.
Precisely. They value reliability and speed over price. It creates a very sticky, very high-margin user base, and it locks the entire enterprise into the ecosystem.
How so?
Well, once your expense account is linked to Uber, the friction to switch to another provider is massive. You aren't going to download Lyft, pay with your personal card, and then file a manual expense report just to save your company $3.
No way. It's the path of least resistance. You just tap the button and it's all handled.
That makes total sense. Then you have freight. We should briefly touch on that because it's in the report, but it seems like the neglected middle child right now.
Briefly is probably best. It's had a tough go of it lately.
It's their digital brokerage arm. It connects shippers, people with stuff to move, and carriers, so truckers.
So it's Uber for trucks.
Essentially, yeah. But it has faced some really challenging market cycles. Revenue was down about 1% year over year in 2025.
Why the slump? What happened there?
The whole logistics industry globally has been in a bit of a recession, really. Shipping rates just came way down after that post-pandemic boom, and Uber Freight is feeling that.
So it's a market problem, not necessarily an Uber problem.
Exactly. It's not the star of the show right now, but it's a strategic asset. It gives them a ton of data on long-haul movement, which feeds into that bigger logistics OS vision.
Ah.
But for the purpose of this deep dive, it is not the growth engine.
No, the star of the show, or at least the exploding star, is delivery. And I don't mean just Uber Eats anymore. I feel like Uber Eats is almost a misnomer now.
It is. This is the big shift from dinner to everything.
The sources call this the grocery and retail expansion, and the numbers they're throwing around are kind of staggering. They're talking about a $10 trillion addressable market.
It's massive. And it's not just about distinct services anymore. It's about owning the logistics of local commerce. Think about it. Uber has this fleet of millions of couriers roaming every single city. Why should they only carry burritos? If there's passing a grocery store or a pharmacy or a clothing store, why not utilize that labor? It's just about efficiency.
Let's look at the partners, because this isn't just delivering from the corner bodega. We're talking about massive national chains, specifically Kroger.
This is a nationwide rollout. We are talking about adding roughly 2,700 stores.
Wow.
Ralph's, Fred Meyer, King Soopers, Smith's. I mean, if you shop at a Kroger banner store, it is now likely integrated into the Uber infrastructure.
So that means I can open the Uber app, the one I use for rides, and I can shop the full inventory of my local Ralph's.
Yes, not just a limited selection of, chips and soda, the full store. And they have integrated specific high-value items like the floral department and their sushi shops.
So I can get fresh sushi delivered.
You can. It essentially turns every Kroger location into a localized micro-distribution center for Uber.
Sushi and flowers. The essentials of modern life.
You laugh, but then there is Costco.
That's the fascinating one to me. Costco is famously protective of its member experience. Oh, incredibly.
They want you in the warehouse. They want you walking past the giant TVs to get to the rotisserie chicken.
They want you spending $400 on things you didn't know you needed.
Yeah.
And they want you buying the hot dog.
Exactly. They want the foot traffic.
Yeah.
That is their entire model. But the fact that they are available in select markets on Uber, it shows that even Costco sees the value in this channel.
For Uber, this partnership is gold. Absolute gold, because it drives significantly higher basket sizes.
You aren't ordering a $15 sandwich from Costco.
No, you are ordering $150 worth of bulk goods. Maybe a television. Maybe 50 rolls of toilet paper. The economics of that delivery are so much better for Uber.
How so?
Well, the delivery fee is higher, the transaction value is higher, and the courier efficiency is better. It's one stop for a large dollar amount versus picking up 3 different burrito orders from 3 different restaurants.
Right. Less running around for the driver for more money.
Exactly. And it's not just food. I was reading about the specialty retail partnerships. They've signed deals with PacSun for fashion, Camping World for outdoor gear, Lush for cosmetics.
Uber Ski?
Uber Ski. I saw that in the notes and I thought it was a typo. What is that exactly?
It's a partnership with Epic Pass.
Yeah.
If you are going skiing, say in Vail or Park City, you can book an Uber Ski ride.
And what does that get you?
It guarantees a vehicle with a ski rack or enough storage for your gear.
That is so specific. It feels so niche.
But that's the point. It's about niche capture. It's about being the solution for every single movement problem you have. I need to get my skis to the mountain. Uber has a product for that. I need fresh bath bombs from Lush. Uber has a product for that.
It's moving away from I need a ride to I need to solve a logistical problem.
That's it. That's the whole shift.
So what's the financial impact of all this stuff? Is it actually moving the needle, or is it just PR fluff to make them look like Amazon?
It is absolutely moving the needle.
Yeah.
The grocery and retail vertical alone has hit a $12 billion run rate.
12 billion?
Billion. That's the size of a Fortune 500 company on its own.
That is not a side project anymore.
Not at all. That is a massive business. It's larger than many standalone delivery companies. And there's a specific consumer behavior driving this that management highlighted in the Q4 call.
The aha moment.
It's the top-up trip.
The, oh no, I forgot the cilantro for the tacos trip.
Precisely. Or, I need milk for the morning coffee. Uber captures that immediate high-urgency need. You aren't going to get in your car and drive to the store for one item if you can have it delivered in 20 minutes.
Right.
But what they are finding, and this is the key, is that once you trust them with the cilantro, you start trusting them with the weekly shop.
Ah, okay. You realize, hey, this was easy. Why am I driving to the grocery store on Saturday morning when I could just do this?
They're converting emergency users into habitual grocery shoppers. And that locks you into the ecosystem even tighter.
How?
It increases the frequency of app opens, which increases the data they have on you, which improves the ad targeting. It's a flywheel.
Okay, so the business model is widening. It's becoming the operating system for local commerce. But let's look at the scorecard. Section 2. Financial realities. This is the fiscal year 2025 review.
Okay.
And I have to say, looking at these numbers, for anyone who remembers, the Uber burns $1 billion a quarter days.
Which wasn't that long ago.
No, but this is shocking. It is a behemoth now.
It is.
Revenue for FY 2025 hit $52.0 billion. That's up 18% year over year.
And gross bookings reached $193.5 billion.
Just shy of $200 billion flowing through the app.
Stop and think about that number. That is the total economic value of all the rides, the food, the groceries, the packages. It creates immense gravity. When you have that much volume, you have immense leverage over your partners.
But revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, right? That's the old saying. And for a long time, Uber had no sanity.
And cash is reality.
So let's talk about cash.
This is what we call the cash engine. In 2025, Uber generated a record $9.8 billion in free cash flow.
Nearly $10 billion in cold, hard cash.
That's after paying all the bills, all the drivers, all the software engineers, all the capital expenditures. That represents a free cash flow margin of roughly 18.8%.
To put that in perspective, because I think we forget how bad it used to be.
Let's rewind to 2020. Not ancient history, just 5 years ago.
Okay.
The free cash flow margin was negative 40%.
Negative 40%.
They were burning 40 cents for every dollar that came in the door. The more they grew, the more money they lost. It was the classic Silicon Valley growth at all costs model.
And now?
Now, they are keeping nearly 19 cents of every dollar as pure cash. That is a monumental turnaround. It's one of the greatest financial turnarounds in tech history, period.
And adjusted EBITDA hit $8.7 billion, up 35%. So they are growing profits faster than they are growing revenue.
That's the definition of operating leverage.
Yeah.
That's the holy grail for a platform business. It means their costs are relatively fixed. The app is built, the servers are running, so every new dollar of revenue is more profitable than the last one.
They don't need to hire a new engineer for every new ride booked.
Exactly. The platform scales beautifully.
But there is a hidden gem in here that I think explains some of this margin expansion. It's a huge part of the story. We have to talk about advertising.
Yes. This is the secret sauce of their profitability right now. The unsung hero.
I feel like I see ads everywhere in the app now. When I'm waiting for my car, when I'm tracking my burger.
You too. And it's working. The advertising division has reached a $2 billion annual run rate.
$2 billion.
And it is growing over 50%.
Wow. But why does that matter so much for the bottom line? I mean, $2 billion is a lot, but on $52 billion of revenue, it's still a small piece.
It matters because of the margins.
Yeah.
Think about the margin on a ride.
Okay.
You have to pay the driver the vast majority of the fare. You have to pay for insurance, which is getting more expensive every year. You have to pay for credit card processing fees. The actual margin Uber keeps is thin, maybe single digits in some markets.
Okay, so not a lot of profit per ride.
Right. Now, what's the margin on a digital ad shown to a captive audience in the back of a car who is literally waiting for something to happen?
There's no driver to pay for the ad.
Exactly. It's nearly 100% margin. It is pure profit dropping straight to the bottom line. They are monetizing your attention while you ride and while you order. It's arguably the most valuable real estate they own. The screen in your hand and the 5 to 10 minutes you spend staring at it.
So that $2 billion in ads is probably worth as much in pure profit as, what, 10 or $20 billion in gross bookings from rides?
Precisely. That is why the cash flow is exploding. It's free money, essentially. They've already acquired the customer. Now they are just monetizing the eyeballs.
So they've got the cash, they've got the model, but now we have to talk about the elephant in the room, or maybe the robot in the room.
The existential threat.
Section 3, the strategic inflection point, the hybrid network moat. Because the bear case for Uber, the reason some people refuse to buy the stock, has always been simple. Autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
AVs.
Right. The logic is straightforward, and for a long time it was very compelling.
The argument goes, if a robot can drive for cheaper than a human, and Tesla or Waymo owns the robots, why do we need Uber?
Uber is just a middleman taking a cut from human drivers. If the humans go away and Tesla launches a Cybercab app,
Uber goes to zero.
that is the fear. That Uber is the travel agent in the age of Expedia. Just an unnecessary layer that adds cost but no value. It relies on the assumption that the hard part is the driving, not the network management.
Which might be the wrong assumption.
Which Uber is arguing very, very strongly is the wrong assumption.
So what is Uber's counter-argument? Because they aren't just sitting there waiting to die. What is this hybrid network?
This is where it gets really interesting. This is the intellectual core of their defense.
Yeah.
Uber's argument is that standalone AV fleets, like a pure Waymo app or a theoretical Tesla network, have a fatal flaw.
Which is?
Utilization. We call it the empty leg problem.
Okay, unpack that. The empty leg.
Think about demand for rides in any city. It is incredibly spiky. It's not a smooth curve.
No, not at all.
You have massive peaks, morning and evening rush hour, Saturday nights when the bars close, sudden rainstorms. And you have deep troughs, 3 a.m. on a Tuesday or 10 a.m. on a Wednesday.
Sure, that makes sense.
If you are Waymo and you own a fleet of very expensive robots, and these cars are not cheap to build, they're loaded with LiDAR, radar, supercomputers, you have a dilemma. Do you buy enough cars to cover the peak demand?
Okay, let's say you do.
If you do, then during the trough, that Tuesday at 3 a.m., you have thousands of $100,000 robots sitting in a parking lot doing nothing.
Just burning capital.
Exactly. Burning capital, depreciation, maintenance costs, insurance. They are earning $0. That completely destroys your unit economics. You can't make money if your primary asset is only working 40% of the time.
Okay, so you don't buy that many cars. You only buy enough for the trough, for the quiet times.
But if you do that, then during rush hour, nobody can get a ride. Your wait times are an hour. Customers open your app, see no cars available, and what do?
They delete the app.
They delete your app. You have a reliability problem. And in transportation, if you are not reliable, you are dead. It's the #1 feature.
It's a catch-22. You either have too many cars or not enough.
Exactly. It is a utilization nightmare.
And this is where Uber steps in.
Uber positions itself as the yield manager. They say, look, we have a hybrid network. We have millions of human drivers who can scale up and down instantly.
Because they're gig workers. If there's no demand, they just go home and watch the TV. Uber doesn't pay for their car sitting in their driveway.
Exactly. The human driver bears the cost of the asset downtime, not Uber. So Uber says to the AV companies, let the AVs handle the base load, the easy routes, the predictable times, the troughs. Keep those expensive robots moving 24/7.
So the robot never stops earning money. You maximize its utilization.
Right. But when the spike hits, when the concert lets out or the rain starts, Uber floods the zone with human drivers to handle the excess demand that the robot fleet can't handle.
So it's like the power grid.
That is the perfect analogy. I was just about to say that.
The AVs are the nuclear power plants or the big solar farms.
Steady, consistent, expensive to build, but cheap to run. You want them running at 100% capacity all the time.
And the human drivers are the gas peaker plants.
The peaker plants. You fire them up only when demand is high and you're willing to pay a premium. Uber orchestrates the whole grid to ensure reliability at the lowest possible aggregate cost.
That sounds like a really nice theory. It makes a lot of sense on a whiteboard. But do we have any proof that it actually works in the real world?
We do. And this is the killer stat from the Q4 reports that just blew me away.
Gimme.
Data shows that AVs operating on the Uber platform achieve 30% higher utilization than standalone fleets.
30% higher?
30%. Think about what that means for the bottom line of an AV company. If your multi-$100,000 car is earning money 30% more of the time because Uber is feeding it a steady stream of rides during the quiet times,
You almost have to be on Uber.
you can't afford to be standalone. It's the difference between profitability and bankruptcy for your entire hardware program.
And what about the consumer side? Because if the service is worse, none of this matters.
That's the other side of the coin. AVs on Uber have a roughly 25% faster ETA than standalone apps.
Because the network is just denser. There are more cars, both human and robot.
Right. If you open the Waymo app and the nearest car is 15 minutes away, but you open Uber and you can get a Waymo in 10 minutes or a human in 2 minutes, which one are you going to use?
You're opening Uber. You want the fastest ride.
You want the fastest ride. So Uber wins by liquidity.
Liquidity is the moat.
The person with the most cars and the most riders wins because they have the lowest wait times for riders and the highest utilization for drivers or robots. It's a classic two-sided network effect.
This leads us perfectly into Section 4, the AV coalition versus Tesla, because it seems like Uber has very clearly picked a side in this war.
They've picked the side of everyone else.
It's the frenemy strategy.
It is. They are partnering with practically everyone. Waymo, Cruise, WeRide, Overraid, Aurora, Waabi.
Yeah.
You name an AV company.
Except Tesla.
Except Tesla. Tesla is distinct. Tesla is trying to execute the vertical integration play. They want to build a car, own the software, run the network, and keep all the profit.
They want to be the Apple of transportation.
Exactly. Uber is betting on the horizontal model, the Windows or Android model. Let 1,000 flowers bloom as long as they all run on our operating system.
Let's look at the operational nuance here, though, because in some cities, Uber and Waymo are technically competitors, right?
Yeah.
They're not always friends.
Yes. And this is where it gets complicated and really fascinating. In San Francisco and Los Angeles, Waymo has its own app. They are building their own brand.
Right.
If you open Uber, you might not see a Waymo there because Waymo wants to own that customer relationship. They are fighting for market share head-to-head.
But in Austin or Atlanta.
In Austin and Atlanta, it's a totally different story. Waymo cars are dispatched exclusively or very, very heavily through the Uber app.
So Waymo just gave up on their own app in those cities.
They essentially decided, you know what, we don't want to build the customer support, the dispatch network, and the user acquisition marketing in these cities. It's too expensive and too hard. Let's just plug into Uber's demand fire hose.
That is a massive validation of the Uber thesis.
It is. It proves that even the leader in AV tech, and let's be clear, Waymo is the leader right now, needs Uber's demand to make the economics work in new markets. It shows that customer acquisition is harder than people think. Building the tech is only half the battle.
Now, speaking of hardware, we have to talk about CES 2026, because there was a reveal there that kind of solidified this horizontal alliance.
Lucid Narrow Robotaxi.
This thing looks very cool, very futuristic.
It does, but look at how it was built. It's a Frankenstein monster in the best possible way.
Break that down.
It has Lucid hardware. They're known for incredible efficiency, great motors, great range. It has neuro software. They're the brains of the driving. It uses NVIDIA compute for the processing.
And the cabin.
And it has an Uber-designed cabin and marketplace integration.
So it's the Avengers of non-Tesla tech.
Exactly. Uber is betting that a coalition of specialists, the best hardware maker, plus the best software maker, plus the best network, will beat one company, Tesla, trying to do it all alone. It's a classic business strategy question.
And there was a detail in the reports about a Robotaxi data factory. That sounded very sci-fi.
This is huge, and it's under-discussed, I think. Uber is collaborating with NVIDIA on this.
Okay.
Think about the data Uber has. They have billions and billions of miles of human driving data. They know how drivers handle tricky intersections in Mumbai, or snow in Chicago, or a left turn against traffic in LA.
Data that no single AV company could ever collect on their own.
Right, so they are using that massive data set to help train the autonomous models for their partners.
So they are telling these AV companies, hey, come work with us and we will give you the cheat codes. We will help you teach your robots how to drive better and faster than your competitors.
It lowers the barrier to entry for everyone else. If you are a startup like Waabi or Avridi, you don't need 10 years of mapping data like Waymo has. You can leverage Uber's data to get up to speed.
This creates more competition for Tesla and Waymo, which is exactly what Uber wants.
Exactly. They want the distinct hardware to be a commodity.
They want cars to be like AA batteries. It doesn't matter who makes them, as long as they fit in the slot.
And as long as Uber controls the device, they go into.
Fascinating. But to make this work, Uber is doing something that seems really out of character. Section 5. Infrastructure and CapEx pivot. They are spending money on atoms, not just bits.
It is a surprising deviation. For a decade, the Uber model was asset-light.
Completely. They owned no cars, no inventory. It was pure software margins. They didn't want the liability of owning a bunch of metal.
And now?
Now they are purchasing up to 20,000 Lucid vehicles and 25,000 Waabi vehicles.
Tens of thousands of cars.
Why? Why put that on the balance sheet? Why take on that risk?
To kickstart the ecosystem, to prime the pump. They can't wait for partners to build enough cars. The partners might be capital constrained, or they might be hesitant.
So Uber is stepping in.
So Uber says, we will buy the first batch of cars to guarantee the supply. They need to get the liquidity up on the network to prove that the hybrid model works. It's a bridge strategy. I don't think they want to own cars forever, but they need them now to get this flywheel spinning.
And it's not just cars, it's the pit stop strategy.
This is the charging depots. They are investing over $100 million in physical AV charging hubs and maintenance depots.
This makes so much sense when you think about it. Imagine a Robotaxi. It drives for 12 hours straight.
Right.
It gets dirty. Someone spills a latte in the back. The battery runs low. What happens?
Who deals with that? Does Waymo, a software company at its heart, want to buy real estate in every city in America, hire cleaning crews, and manage high-voltage charging infrastructure?
Probably not. That's a logistics nightmare. It's a totally different business.
Uber is saying, we'll do it. We will handle the cleaning, the charging, the maintenance. You just focus on making the software better.
It makes Uber the indispensable utility. It's the gas station, the car wash, and the dispatcher all in one.
And it creates incredible stickiness. If Uber owns the depot where your robot sleeps and charges every night, you can't easily switch your fleet to Lyft. You are physically tethered to Uber's infrastructure.
It's like owning the airport gate. The airline can't just move.
That's a great analogy. It's exactly like owning the gate.
Smart. Very, very smart. It transforms them from an app into a piece of physical infrastructure. Okay, let's talk about what this all means for the people listening who might be holding the stock or thinking about it. Section 6, shareholder yield.
This is where the maturity of the company really shines. They are behaving like a blue-chip grown-up now, not a cash-burning startup.
We mentioned the $20 billion share buyback program.
That is a massive number. For context, in 2025, they used $6.5 billion to buy back stock. Now they are reloading the cannon with another $20 billion.
What does that signal to you as an analyst?
Management believes the stock is undervalued, period, full stop. You don't buy back $20 billion of your own stock if you think the business is about to crumble or if you think you have better things to spend the money on.
It signals massive confidence.
Massive confidence in that cash flow engine we talked about. They're generating so much cash, they literally don't know what else to do with it besides give it back to shareholders.
And then there's the other lock-in mechanism, Uber One.
The prime of transportation.
It reached 46 million members, which is up 55% year over year.
And that growth rate is accelerating, which is just wild for a program that size. Usually growth slows down as you get bigger, but the behavior change is what matters more than the raw number of members.
What's the stat on spending? I saw this and it jumped out at me.
Members spend 3 times more than non-members.
3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
And they account for about 50% of total bookings.
So half the money flowing through the entire Uber platform comes from this specific group of subscribers.
Yes. And think about the psychology. Once you pay that subscription fee, even if it's just $10 a month, you stop price shopping.
You stop looking at Lyft.
You stop looking at Lyft. You stop looking at DoorDash. You just open Uber because you want to get your money's worth for the subscription you already paid for. And you get the discount and the free delivery.
It becomes the default operating system for your life. It removes the friction of choice.
It reduces churn, and it dramatically increases lifetime value. It is the exact playbook Amazon used with Prime, applied to local logistics, and we all know how well that worked out for Amazon.
So we've looked at the model, the money, the robots, and the membership. Section 7, final verdict, the yield manager.
If we summarize the strategic outlook, the hybrid network thesis, it effectively de-risks the AV threat.
It totally reframes the problem. It changes the narrative from Uber gets replaced to Uber manages the replacement.
Exactly. By controlling the demand, those 202 million monthly active consumers and the fleet management, the charging and depots Uber makes itself indispensable to the hardware makers. They're providing the two things the hardware makers don't have: customers, and ground-level operations.
So we have to look at the risks. We can't just drink the Kool-Aid. What could go wrong here?
The winner-take-all risk, and specifically the Tesla risk.
Tesla. It always comes back to Tesla.
It does. If Tesla's vision-only tech gets so cheap and so good that they can undercut everyone on price by, say, 50%.
So if a ride in a Tesla Cybercab is significantly noticeably cheaper than anything on Uber.
And if Tesla, as is their way, refuses to put their cars on the Uber platform,
then Uber has a real problem.
a huge problem. If the Tesla Cybercab is 0.50 cents a mile and an Uber with a Waymo vehicle is $1 a mile, that liquidity advantage might not be enough. People will download a separate app to save 50%.
We've seen that in the past. Price is still king for a lot of people, maybe most people.
That is the biggest risk. That Tesla achieves a cost structure breakthrough that Uber's coalition of partners simply cannot match.
And what about regulatory risks? The old boogeyman.
Always there.
Yeah.
Driver classification in the UK, the London VAT changes. These are constant headwinds. If governments decide big workers or employees, costs go up.
Right.
But honestly, compared to the existential tech risk from Tesla, these seem manageable. Uber has dealt with regulation for 15 years. They know how to fight those battles, how to negotiate. It's part of their DNA now.
So what's the rating, if you have to put a stamp on it?
Strategically, I rated a BUY. The execution over the last 5 years has been nearly flawless. Valuation dependent, of course. It's not a cheap stock by any means, but I like the way one analyst put it.
Go on.
Investors are getting a free call option on the autonomous future.
Explain that. A free call option.
You are paying a fair price today for a profitable, high-growth utility company, the rides and delivery business as it exists today. That business alone, with its cash flow, probably justifies the current stock price. But if the AV bet pays off, if they become the global orchestrator of robot fleets, the upside is massive. 10x from here, maybe more. And you aren't really paying a premium for that potential upside right now. The market is still skeptical.
That's a compelling way to look at it. You buy the utility, you get the lottery ticket for free.
That's it.
All right, let's wrap this up. We've gone from a startup breaking laws and burning cash to a financial fortress managing fleets of robots.
It's been a wild, wild decade for them.
And this concept of agentic commerce, Uber is becoming the agent that manages your physical world. Get me a car, get me my week's groceries, get me a last-minute gift from my wife.
Yeah.
You don't care how it happens. Uber just makes it happen.
And they choose the most efficient way to do it. A human, a robot, a courier on a bike, maybe a drone one day. They optimize the real world for you so you don't have to think about it.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought.
If Uber controls the demand, if they control the data, if they control the cleaning depots and the charging hubs,
Does it actually matter who manufactures the Robotaxi?
are the cars just becoming commodities, like AA batteries?
Or like airplanes? I mean, when you book a flight on Delta, do you care if it's a Boeing or an Airbus?
Not at all. You care that it's Delta. You care about the schedule, the price, the safety record, and the rewards points. The metal tube is just a metal tube.
Uber wants to be the airline. The car companies are just selling them planes.
That is the bet.
Incredible. Well, that is all for this deep dive into Uber, a fascinating look at a company trying to reinvent itself in real time.
Risk defined.
Portfolio protected. Thanks for listening to Griffonomics.